Hi, I'm Peter Haddock and I'm here at the Geo Business Conference, which is linked with Digital Construction Week, with Simon Hamlyn. Simon, you are 7 months into your Chief Executive role with the Chartered Institute of Surveyors. And
yes.
Basically, that's a really exciting moment now in the industry. We see the show here, lots of stuff going on. There's lots of challenges out there as well with getting people into the industry. But you've come into the role, had 7 months in this role. What are the things you're seeing and what are the opportunities that are out there that are really exciting?
Well, the first thing I'd say is come into a role such as this without a background in engineering or surveying means I can act as a giant sponge.
Yeah.
And so the past 7 months, having come from an organisation called the British Hydropower Association, where I was chief exec for 8.5 years, I come into this role. There is a link because a lot of the big hydropower projects are big infrastructure projects that need engineering and surveying and all that kind of stuff. My parents were both architects and my grandfather was an architect, so there is a link between the two. What I found is a very thriving industry, a very welcome industry, a very knowledgeable industry, one that needs to communicate a little better, not only internally but across the industry, and one that needs to harness collectively the memberships we have, the knowledge we have, the expertise we have to address some of the problems. So skill shortages, standards, all need to be addressed. We're doing a lot of that work with some of our very, very good committees and our staff members and the rest of our members working together. But we need to kind of pull together and have a real focus on how we can do things better for the benefit of the industry.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting when I walk around today, I see a lot of new technologies, but I had a really good discussion with Murphy Geospatial talking about how we bring data together, how people can make all of the information more accessible and how we can utilize that throughout the whole life cycle of projects and into the future maintenance of sites and things like that, the product and the industry actually puts together. So what is really challenging at the moment is how you get people into the industry, and how do you think we're going to do that? Because there's a lot of people we need, isn't it?
I just go back to the point you made about data.
Yeah.
People have been collecting data for years and years and years. In previous jobs, we used telemetry to collect data from remote stations, very complex, very detailed data. It's not necessarily how you get it, it's what you do with it that matters. That's the critical point. How do you use data to do things better, smarter, quicker, and to support the industry? How to get more people in surveying? That's a big question. It's a big question, and it probably starts with how do we get more students being taught it in school?
Yeah.
And it comes to the kind of 11 to 13-year-olds where they're starting to think about what happens when they leave school. My daughter and my son are both in similar positions. They tend to get reinforced by teachers who think about careers rather than personal development.
Yeah.
So what I think is it's about how we can get more young people thinking about their personal development and what they expect to be doing in the next 5 or 10 years rather than what job they should be doing. But if you have a good, well-informed, knowledgeable, happy teacher talking about a subject that engages the students, that's the first thing. But that isn't the case at the moment. You can talk to many of our members about getting into schools and university schools in particular. It's not on the curriculum.
Yeah.
And we've been working with a group of members only recently about how we can get much more influence in government about addressing standards, training, access to teachers at a young age. Those are the kind of things we should be focusing on as an industry, and we're not at the moment. The other area that we've just been talking about is getting more diverse members into the organisations. You know, 10% of our members are women.
10%?
Yeah, the last organisation I worked for, 10% women. The last one was about 10%. So most of these businesses are dominated by men.
Yep.
That's because that's how it's evolved. But we have to get to a position where civil engineering and engineering in general is seen as an attractive career development opportunity rather than just for men, as it currently seems to be. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done with government and with the education departments and with schools and with universities to try and achieve that. We are a small membership organisation, we have 5,000 members. We have to leverage those members and the partners we work with, such as on the stand here today, to try and achieve that.
And one of the things I've seen as I've gone around the industry is that when people get into and discover the sector, they think they've opened, a fantastic Pandora's box of all the opportunities they've got to actually have a career. Because, you're talking about chartership here, you've got a career, you've got a pathway that's already there. But it's how we get people to discover that pathway, and it's the language that we use, isn't it? Because when I'm talking about my son who's 15, when he saw point clouds and things like that, he said, well, this is like building a Call of Duty game. And this is how we play and go through things. And I said, well, these are real buildings. These are real structures that we've got these point clouds on that we're surveying, we're building, and we're using 3D modelling to do so. And that's where you're coming from when you're talking about how we educate the wider space.
It has to have some relevance to the child. So when I talk to my daughter, because I was in Hong Kong and Macau recently with work, and her friend said, why is your dad in Hong Kong? And she didn't really know what I did. So I said, okay, think about the pyramids. What was the first thing they did when they built the pyramids? Oh, they put a load of stone. No. The very first thing, they surveyed the site to make sure they could build it. So that's how old the industry is that I'm in. And she said, well, you look old enough to be in the pyramids, Dad, the usual kind of thing. But it's about relating things they understand to things they don't understand.
Absolutely.
And adults can learn a lot more from kids than they realise. And so Martha suddenly realised precisely what I did, but she hadn't asked the question, she wouldn't have got the answer they need. Kids need to be inquisitive, and they are sometimes, quite naturally, but their teachers and those around need to make sure they are as inquisitive as they possibly can be, because without being inquisitive, you won't learn anything.
So, bar the skills shortage, what else is the Institute really concentrating on now? Where do you see, the next sort of year ahead for the Institute and its members?
I think there's probably three things. Membership growth, not just in the UK but overseas. We have a very flourishing group of members in Hong Kong, Macau. We're looking to develop that in Dubai and Australia, North America, and we're now branching out to Saudi Arabia, because a lot of the people that work in Qatar and UAE are going to Saudi because the salaries are much better for the same job they're doing in Qatar or Dubai. So that's the first thing, membership increase. Developing our communications plan. When I joined, we didn't have a comms team. Over the past 6 months, I've developed a comms team within the existing staff, some very, very talented people who've reshaped their teams to have a Marcoms team, and that, as you may have seen Taya walking around today, that's a critical part, because every membership organisation I work for, the key is communication.
Absolutely.
If you're not communicating, you're not doing the job we should be doing. So more members, better communication, and not just within our membership, but way beyond that. And that's a critically important thing. And the third thing is developing the services to members. We've just digitised the membership service that would normally be one where you ring up and say, can I pay my bill? Can I change my details? All that now is on a private portal for each member. They can go in and they can digitally change their details, pay their bills, and that will develop further, along with a knowledge hub, which is an online hub of knowledge, says it on the tin, for all our members to access to help them develop their own skill sets, and by doing that they develop their own skill sets, their own personal career, and often the companies they work for benefit from it. So those are the kind of 3-4 things that we're focusing on as we go forward.
And it's that knowledge sharing and that mentorship through the sharing of knowledge and the availability of information that allows members to really find out what's going on. I mean, you look outside in this show right now and there is so much activity happening. There's so many things to take in, but you as an institute, crystallising those for people in the Knowledge Centre really gives you an opportunity to make a difference to not just the businesses that are part of members, but the individuals, isn't it?
It is, but with all membership organisations, the critical point is the members have to want the service you're providing.
Absolutely.
So you can produce as many magazines as you want, downloads, seminars, webinars, conferences, but unless what you're presenting is attractive and interesting, they'll just go, oh, that's interesting to know. You want them to engage, and that's the kind of motto I brought to the institution: engage, communicate, and be accessible. Without those 3 things, we won't develop as much as we'd like to.
Well, it's fantastic to meet you, Simon. I do hope to see your journey as the Chief Exec moving forward, and meet you again to talk about the next things that are happening, probably at Geo Business, but great to see you.
Thanks for your time, much appreciated.
Thanks a lot.